Hi, my name is Brian Gomez, and today I'll be demonstrating how to set up a piggyback. So first I'm going to state my 6 rights or 7 rights. It's the right patient, right documentation, right dose, right drug, right time, right route, I think I said right documentation, drug, right dose. Okay, so there's 7 and right reason. So that's the 7 R's. So then I'm going to go ahead and check the physician's order with them R, make sure that everything is correct, and everything is. So then I'm going to go ahead and enter the patient's room and wash my hands. And again, I'd put on gloves if it was an isolation type of scenario, but it isn't. I'm also going to assess the patient and make sure he's okay. Hey, Mr. Smith, actually, can I verify your first and last name, please? And date of birth. And he identifies himself, and I would say also, my name is Brian, I'm your nurse today. The doctor's ordered some piggyback or some meds to be infused with your IV, okay? Do you have any questions? No? Okay, can I check your IV site also, just make sure there's no issues? And again, the IV is already running, but I want to make sure that there's nothing going on over here, no distension or anything else going on or irritation unnecessarily. So, okay, Mr. Smith, I'll be right back. I'm going to go ahead and get your meds. So again, in this scenario, in some hot settings, the meds will be in the med room, but in this case, it's going to be in the room for me already. So I have here the piggyback or the med, and also the secondary tubing. I'm going to make sure that this is the right medication. Again, I'm going to check the MAR again, make sure it's the right medication, make sure that if there's an expiration date, it's all right. There's also no there's no particles floating around. And also here, the secondary tubing, I would have also shut off the clamps, just like setting up an IV. I'm going to make sure that the clamp is closed. And also here we have our extra hanger here to make sure that when we drop the the IV, excuse me. Again, we don't want this flaring around unnecessarily. So I'm going to bring this over to the patient. And also I'm going to double check. Hey, Mr. Smith, I forgot to ask, I'm sorry, do you have any allergies or any other issues going on that we should know about with any medications or any adverse effects? He will say no, so say, okay, good. So I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to raise the bed to my working height. Again, I'm not going to lower the rail just because it's not really in my way. So I'm going to raise that here, and now I'm going to spike the bag just like we did for the regular IV. Again, same scenario, this is sterile, this is sterile, this is sterile, so we don't want to touch that unnecessarily. If for some reason we did touch it, we would need to throw that away. So here, I'm going to remove, again, the clamping is off. I'm going to remove the cap, this is sterile. I'm also going to remove the spike on this end. I'm going to place that. Now we're going to spike the bag. Now the priming here is slightly different than an IV, a regular IV or saline solution, because we want to make sure we don't waste any medication. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to first prime, so I'm going to go ahead, hang this up here. And if there was a basin or anything, just to catch any extra fluid, but again, we don't want to waste it. We want to waste as little as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and squeeze here. I'll fill about 1/3 to halfway through. And then I'm going to look for any air bubbles here as well. And I'm going to slowly flush the line or prime the line to make sure that there's no air bubbles as well. And okay, so that's good there. Now again, simultaneously, when I check this bag, there should be a label on the bag as well for the patient and the medication and time. But just make sure that's on there. And again, label this tubing as well for 72 hours or 4 days. So that's all set here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and put this so it's not touching anything unnecessarily. I'm going to go back to the patient, he's still here. I'm going to then also scrub the hub. Excuse me, this is already connected to IV, so I'm going to scrub the hub or the port on the IV line here for about 15 seconds. Now I'm going to go ahead and connect the med bag here, and once I connect it and open the clamp, it actually they both should start dripping. Again, I want to be careful not to be touching the port. Connect that there. Now once I open this clamp, they both should start dripping. So that open there, and correct, this is dripping, and actually this can even stop sometimes. So that has stopped because the gravity-wise, this is a little bit lower. So just to go ahead and facilitate that also, I'm going to go ahead and drop the primary. Now we're going to also then adjust the rate of the med bag to whatever the doctor prescribed, which is going off the primary clamp from the IV. And again, for validation purposes, we don't need to adjust that med rate again, or the med bag's rate, because we did that already for the IV, but we would adjust it to whatever the doctor prescribed, and then that's all set. So then I would leave the room. I would first also, actually before I left the room, I had to make sure the patient's okay, no issues going on with him. I would then lower the bed to the lowest height. I would also put a call bell here, and then I'd leave the room, I would wash my hands, and then I would document anything that was noteworthy as well as the rate that I set the tubing at. Now, if the scenario is when the medication is done, because I should know when the medication is done, I will come back to the tube, let's say it's already done. I will also then close the secondary lines clamp, because we don't want any excess air going in there. I will then also raise the regular IV, and then I'll have to recalibrate the rate for this one to whatever the doctor had originally prescribed. Say 60 drops per minute. Again, making sure the patient's okay. Also assessing the line, make sure that there's no irritation or distension as well. And then at that point, I would also then, again, leaving the room, make sure it's the lowest height, call bell, and I'd document anything noteworthy as well as that the medication is finished, and then I return the IV to the regular rate. And that is how you do a piggyback for a patient.